As part of the good mood revolution, sometimes we face bad moods and we can't get away from them because we're human. So, what do we do when we encounter an emotion that doesn't feel good? Well, the one thing we typically do is we try to distract ourselves and avoid it. That is what Michelle Maidenberg calls emotional avoidance. She just delivered a wonderful TEDx talk on this topic, and she is here to teach the Good Mood Revolution how to not avoid our most challenging emotions, but face them instead. Let's rock.
Here's your host, Matt O'Neill.
So this is the Good Mood Revolution, and we all just want to feel good. We want to feel joyful and happy and loving and just have fun. And we never want to feel bad. We don't want to feel angry or fearful or anxious or depressed or sad or lonely. We don't want to feel anything bad. That's definitely my story. And a lot of times when we don't want to feel bad and we only want to feel good, we end up doing some pretty unhealthy things with what are normal human negative emotions. For me, I distracted myself a lot. Anytime anything negative came up, I would distract myself with music or TV or alcohol or drugs, or I would call somebody. Often I would just pick up the phone and call people until somebody picked up and I could totally distract from whatever I was really feeling. This, it turns out, isn't super healthy. And then what would happen is all these negative emotions didn't actually go away. They were still there. And then something would happen and I would blow up in an outburst of anger because I hadn't actually dealt with the negative emotions. So this being the Good Mood Revolution, if you want to feel good authentically, we have to deal with negative emotions. And today we have an expert on emotional avoidance. She recorded a TEDx talk on the topic. She's an author. She's a therapist. She's an adjunct professor at NYU. It is Michelle Maidenberg. Michelle, welcome to the Good Mood Revolution.
Thank you so much for having me.
So I was so excited when you reached out with this topic of emotional avoidance. And then I watched your TEDx talk and I said, this is exactly what we need to talk about. So for the person listening, what is emotional avoidance?
So I'm going to piggyback what you said about yourself to explain it. Two things that you did, which I want to highlight. One is you referred to emotions, you put them in categories as bad and good. So if you think about that, just putting it in the categories and shifting it in that way, what thoughts and feelings do we have about emotions when we refer to them as bad and good, right? Because there's...
Yeah, some are bad. And I don't want to experience that.
Some are uncomfortable. Some are uncomfortable, but they're not bad because every single emotion has utility. And
I like it.
Our uncomfortable emotions like disappointment, sadness, anger, frustration, and all those lovely emotions that we try to, like you said, disregard or distract from, they have utility. You know what they do? Which is a wonderful thing, and we never want to get rid of it, is they connect us to our values and what's important to us. So you need them, and they're part of our humanism. We can't compartmentalize. I only want to feel this. Like we're not kids in a candy store, right? We can't say, I only want this and I don't want this. It doesn't work that way. Because even if you don't want it, you will feel it, whether you like it or not. I promise you.
I've just been reading a book called The End of Your World by Adyashanti. And it's a book about enlightenment. And Adya was talking with an enlightened master in India. I'm going to butcher his name, Nisargati something. I can't remember. He wrote a book called I Am That. And he's since passed, but Adya spent time with him before he passed. And he said, do you ever get hooked on a negative emotion? And this master said, of course I do. I'm alive. And it was such a relief to Adya because he was like seeking the path of enlightenment. And he thought that meant he would only have a permanent smile and only feel good all the time. And the truth is that even if you spend all of your time practicing mindfulness and thinking about the oneness of everybody and having compassion, we still get hung up on negative emotions. There's nobody that gets away from it. But it
Yeah.
wasn't that long ago that our forefathers, the people that were supposedly like the most enlightened people that started our country, if they got into an argument with somebody, they just killed them. They said, all right, I challenge you to a duel, and they shot each other. This was
Mm-hmm.
like 150 years ago. That's how we settled our disputes, is we killed each other. And so, yeah, so on these days, we still have that impulse that, oh my gosh, you disrespected me. I want to kill you. That is
Mm-hmm.
really the animalistic, sadistic, deeper underlying thought that is there. Now, is it true? Does it make you a bad person because you have a thought that you want to kill somebody that's disrespected you? No, acting on it definitely would be poor. That'd be a poor decision. That'd
Yes.
probably put you in jail. But I think what you're saying is don't deny it either. And this is the dark side, the shadow side of the ego that, who
Yeah.
was it? Jung called it the shadow self.
Yes.
And it exists, and it's a true existing piece within us. So how do we deal with it? What if we notice ourselves like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I actually want to punch that person right in the face?
Yeah. So I'm gonna tell you what to do. So you're talking about our reptilian brain.
Yep.
Okay. So our reptilian brain is actually wired like as hunter and gatherers. Yes. Like we're constantly, yeah, for sure. And our brain, as although it seems so sophisticated because it does all these like amazing things and it could think on such a higher level of processing, it's very, very reptilian. And that's just the way it is. So when you have a negative thoughts, okay, I'll give you an example. We often have like a lot of value conflict when we're trying to make decisions because we have two values kind of opposing each other and conflict of one another. And then we say to ourselves, oh my gosh, I have to make a decision, right? But then we're kind of riddled with guilt and shame. Like, oh my gosh, the reason I'm making that decision is because it's not important to me, or that other thing is more important than this is. And then we judge ourselves, right? And then we go through this whole spiral of like, what does that say about me that I'm making that type of decision? What I say to people in those instances, right, when you're kind of feeling bad or your brain is perseverating or whatever the case is, like, and let's say I decide to do the work thing because in that moment I need to. So then I will say to myself, "Ugh, I'm the worst mother. All the other parents are there. I'm the only one not there. My child's kind of frustrated with me, and on and on and on. Right. So because of feeling so riddled with guilt, sometimes I'll try to avoid the feeling of being the worst mom because that feels so horrible. But then if I really reflect on that, I actually could be proud of myself. I could say, good for me for feeling so guilty. That is emblematic of me being a caring mom who wants to actually do something with their child, but can't because I have this conflict. And it's connecting, my guilt is connecting to me to what's truly important to me. And I could be really proud of that. Does that mean that I throw the baby out with the bathwater? No, I have to pay attention to what I'm missing out on with my child. So what does that mean? Does that mean that I go to plan B? Do I then say, oh, you know what, let's go out to lunch tomorrow and tell me all about that event because, I'm so sorry that I had to miss it. That I would never try, miss an event, if it was out of my, if it was in my control. And, hopefully next event I'll be there. Or could somebody videotape the event so that I could watch it with my child,
I
as
just had this morning, Michelle.
did you?
Yes. Yes. So my 6-year-old, this is her first time in surf camp, which
Mm,
in my 8-year-old and my 10-year-old are
yeah.
going to surf camp. All three girls are surfing this week. My 6-year-old has been a little bit afraid of surfing,
Mm,
and I'll take the kids out, and she's always like, I don't want to try. And I said, I totally get it. You don't have to try. Well, yesterday was her first day, and I figured with teenage, instructors and all the other kids surfing that she would look at them doing it and think, I can do it too. Well, that's exactly what happened. She came home and she said,
wow.
Daddy, I surfed 16 waves. I stood up on 16 different waves. I'm like, whoa, I'm so proud of you.
Yeah.
This morning she comes down and she says, Daddy, will you please come out to the beach today and watch me surf?
Mm,
And I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, I'd love to go to the beach this morning. Maybe I could just cancel all my appointments and I could go watch her surf. And then I'm thinking, oh man, you know what? I've got some important work to do today too. So I decided I was going to do the work, and I said, hey, I'm not going to be able to go today. I am proud of you, and we'll go out surfing together and you'll be able to show off your skills when we go next. And she gives me the pouty face,
Mm.
the big lip out. She looks down. She puts on the
Oh,
whole show. She stops talking. It's like, you know, and she's trying to make me feel guilty for choosing the appointments and not rearranging my schedule. And I didn't beat myself up about it, however, because I just made the decision. I made the
mm.
decision that I'm going to honor the appointments I already had, and that we will go out surfing and I'll be able to see these skills. But it's kind of stuck with me today still because of the pouty face.
But that's what I'm talking about, right? And when you feel that, like again, when it kind of gets evoked, you could say to yourself, "Gosh, I'm such a good dad. Like, what a great dad I am, that I care so much that it hasn't left me. Like, it's still staying with me because I love my child, and it really makes me sad when she's disappointed. And I would
rather
always
than
be there
rather
for
than
her."
pushing it away and saying, "Oh, I don't want to feel this. I don't want to feel all this guilt and this feeling that I should be in a different place than I really am." And there's a conflicted feeling. What I love about the so-called negative emotions, I agree with you, they all have utility. But I've found that anytime I choose to take action from whatever lesson it's here to show me, that I improve my mood instantly. And so
Mhm.
in the case with Kelly this morning, my action is to go surfing with her one on one in a time when I don't have meetings to cancel. And I've already committed to her that I'm going to do that. And because that action is out there and I'm committed and I follow through on my commitments, there's not a whole lot of guilt there. I've already made up a decision about what we'll do that, yeah, it's not exactly what she wanted, but it's something that I can honor. The wait is finally over. The Good Mood Revolution book is officially available for pre-order on Amazon today. You can go to Amazon and look for Good Mood Revolution book. And in this book, you're going to find the 8 bad moods that get in the way of your happiness. You're going to learn strategies on how to overcome each of these 8 negative thoughts. They're all lies anyway. And then what the thought patterns are that make us happy every single day. You're also going to learn strategies that can make you really feel fulfilled in your life and make other people around you feel fulfilled as well. So go on Amazon, look for Good Mood Revolution book, and order yours today. Well, let's talk about the third step of the ACE method, empowerment. So, what is empowerment?
So again, it's in the power of doing. A lot of the work that I do, I couch in, evidence-based practice. I like to see the research out there. I like to see what works, what doesn't work. One of the things that I found in my practice, and I find in general, is people have the ability to change behavior, but not sustain it over time. That's been, again, when I do a lot of health and wellness, and I ask people, how many of you have lost weight, and all the hands go up, and how many of you have, maintained it over time? Hands go down. We're really good at changing behavior. There's so many resources out there, how to work through anger, how to be whatever, but we falter because we go from a slip to a fall, and then we have a hard time reviving ourselves. So the whole entire, third section is really about understanding, again, what gets in the way, whether it's rationalizations, our core beliefs. There's 1,000 barriers that gets in the way of us following through and empowering ourselves over time. And again, when I say empowering, I mean doing what's in line with our values. And then I teach people skills and tools to be able to follow through and sustain behavior over time.
Yeah, what are some of those tools and skills?
Oh, there's so many of them. First, I teach people what the characteristics are of people that live empowered lives. So it's important to know that. And it's almost like a check off where you could kind of say to yourself, like, am I actually doing all of these things?
So let's talk about it. What are the characteristics of someone living
So,
an empowered life?
one is that we accept, and face adversity, no matter how challenging it is. So, people, again, we live in a culture where we want quick fixes. We want things to happen in 2 minutes. That's just kind of the way it is. And we have to recognize that anything we want badly enough, we have to put effort into and is going to take prolonged practice. And that is just the way it is. Whether it's an education or whether it's a relationship or whatever, anything. I mean, could you think of anything that comes easily? I can't personally.
My buddy Brian Elbing was just in town this weekend, and Brian has 2 children,
Uh-huh.
and he tells his children, this is his, he said the Elbing motto is Elbings do hard things.
Love it.
And he says to his kids, and he was telling me this weekend, he said, anything that's truly worthwhile is hard. It takes a
That's right.
lot, it takes a lot of effort. And I was
Yeah.
thinking about that, and I was thinking, man, Brian is so right. If it was really, really easy, like sitting on the couch and watching Netflix is super easy, everyone can do that.
Wouldn't
Then,
everybody do it?
well, they all do because it's
Sure.
really easy. So then there's nothing, there's no reward
Yeah.
behind it because
Yeah.
anyone can do it.
That's right.
But it's the things that are really hard. Even mindfulness, you could say, oh, well, sitting there and watching your breath or feeling connected to your heart, that's really easy. But it's not. It actually takes
Mhm.
a tremendous amount of effort to quiet the mind down and focus intentionally on something. And mindfulness is a practice, and it's one that needs to be
Mhm.
practiced.
Yeah.
So it's not easy, even though it feels like it's really easy.
Yeah.
I think the thought that we do hard things is how you were saying, hey, let's face adversity. Let's face the challenge, and this is
Mhm.
what's going to define someone who's empowered. Another way of saying it is if we do the easy thing today, we'll probably have a hard tomorrow. But if we choose to do the hard things today, we're probably going to have a little bit of an easier tomorrow. And this would,
Mhm.
you were talking about working out or exercising. That's not exactly easy.
Yeah.
Choosing to
Mhm.
run a few miles and lift some
Yeah.
weights takes a lot of effort, and you have to get sweaty, and you have to put on some different shoes, and then you have to
Yeah.
take a shower. There's a lot of steps that go into it. However, it's super rewarding.
We do need to understand like I call it like a slip fall pattern. Like I said, there's a lot of things that get us in that position. It's not enough to just say I'm going to do, because many people say that and they don't do.
Mm,
So there's reasons why we slip into that, and we have to really break that slip fall cycle. I mean, that's really important. So I give very concrete steps on how to do that in multiple ways. And not everything works for everybody. You have to try, find what works for you.
that's been my superpower, and I
Hmm.
have always been blessed with the ability to take action.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. I don't know what I do. It's so inherent in me that I just act and I take immediate, fast, and bold action. It's just been who I've always been.
Mhm.
Um, but I also know that it's really unique
It
because
is.
there are many people, and I've coached many people, and they'll say, I'm going to go to the gym 3 days a week. I'm like, hell yeah, man. Congrats. Like, high five. I'm excited
Yeah.
for it. And then a few months later, they're not going to the gym 3 days a week. And I don't know why, right? I don't know what got in the way. For me, when I make a commitment, I just do it. And I don't know
Yeah.
what I'm doing to make it that be something
Mhm.
that I just, whatever I say, I
Yeah.
do. I could go back to values. My first value for my company is integrity. Integrity can mean honesty, but
Mhm.
it also can mean being integrous between your words and your deeds. That when
Yeah.
I say I'm going to do something, I do
100%.
it. So it may just be that I've been conditioning this value of I do
Mhm.
what I say over and
Yes.
over and over again to the point that if I don't do what I say, I don't feel right.
That's beautifully said. Yes. That is exactly it. That is exactly it. I always say that we give a gift to ourselves, right? When we follow through on behaviors, or when we're disciplined, or when we make a commitment to ourselves, right? Because all of that contributes to our confidence
Yes, this was actually so
and our
early
self-efficacy and our
early in my
self-efficacy.
career. I was 26, 27 maybe. And I read this book called The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. And in the book, Darren was talking about confidence. And he said, and I think this might be when it programmed for me. he said, anytime you say you're going to do something and you don't do it, you have
That's
let
right.
yourself down.
That's true.
You now will believe yourself less the next time you say you're going to do something. So he used an example of, if you say, I'm going to get up and go to the gym tomorrow at 6 a.m. and I'm going to run 5 miles. And then you stay up really late watching TV and you didn't sleep well. And maybe your dog was barking in the middle of the night at some cat out on the street. And you kind of feel like you're getting a cold coming on. You got every
Mhm.
excuse you could possibly have. 6 a.m. comes around and you're like, not today. I've got too many things happened. I didn't sleep well. I stayed up too late. The dog was barking and I have a cold coming on. I'm not going to do what I said I was going to do today. He said, that's your moment of actually supercharging your confidence. He's
Mhm.
like, again, what you had said about adversity. His lesson was, when you do what you said you were going to do, even when it's hard,
That's right.
you feel even more confident that you can get things done. And he's like, and if you do a small thing like stick to your 6
Mhm.
a.m. workout and you believe yourself you got that done, then when you say you're going to do some giant thing like write a book, which
Yeah.
has so many steps and is so difficult, or do a big TEDx talk, you believe yourself that you'll follow through even through adversity, even through the
Well,
dog barking. And
what you're really speaking to is self-efficacy.
yeah,
That
tell me more.
that's what yeah, that's what self-efficacy is. It's believing that if you put effort into something that it's actually gonna, deem results. That is like what self-efficacy is. And you don't just believe that haphazardly, right? You believe that because you've actually experienced it, like you've done it. This is what happens, but again, you are an anomaly, I'm going to say, Matt. I am an anomaly too, because I'm like that too. I am an extremely disciplined person. I'm extremely routine person. I get shit done, so to speak, right? Like
Me too. Yeah, we
I,
should get that on a
yeah,
coffee cup.
yes. And when I say I'm going to do something, I follow through and nothing gets in my way and I'm relentless. When I commit to something, I do it. And even if I think about it, I do it. But we are anomalies. I have to tell you, we really are. Most people are not like that. And the clients that I work with struggle. And that's my whole book is on stuckness. That's what I mean. If I had to use a word about what it helps with
I
the
love
stuckness,
that.
but
Are you looking to take your happiness to another level? If you're looking to be more successful, we need to be happier, because success and happiness go hand in hand. But sometimes we get stuck in thought patterns we don't even know are holding us back. And we need a coach or a mentor to see things we can't see with our own eyes. I've had coaches and mentors help me access levels of happiness I couldn't have achieved without them. I'm now offering that same service to a small, select number of people. If you think one-on-one coaching could elevate your happiness, go to mattoneil.com and click the coaching tab to learn more. I look forward to talking with you. I want to help the person listening to this episode that's like, man, I want more of what Matt and Michelle have. I want to have that self-efficacy. I want to follow
Mhm.
through. I've told myself enough times I'm going to do things to let myself down. I don't want to act that way anymore. How do we coach that person on this podcast into being more self-disciplined and following through on what they want more?
That is my entire book.
So get the book.
Literally.
Get the book.
Yeah. No,
Yes.
literally, that's my entire book because it's getting through stuckness. That's exactly what the book is. And like I said, it could be any type of stuckness. I don't care what it is. Like this is the equation. This is what you need to be doing throughout your life. And it's cuts through race, religion, socioeconomic status, whatever. It's
Mhm.
universal. This is we all experience stuckness because it's a humanistic phenomenon. It's just the way it is. And we have to be able to get through it because it's always going to present itself at all times. That's life. The Buddhist precepts is life is full of human suffering. That is a
Mm.
fact. It's just the way it is. So we could either kind of go down with the ship or we could persevere and be successful and feel confident about ourselves. That's the choice we make every single moment of every single day. And that's it.
There's a author named Dr. David Hawkins, and
Yeah.
he wrote a book called Power versus Force.
Yeah.
And one of the higher emotions is
Mhm.
willingness.
Yes.
And willingness is willing to do whatever it takes.
Hmm.
However, it's kind of a rare emotion.
Yeah.
Before willingness is anger and pride and sadness and fear.
Yeah.
And is according to his research, he claims that 78%, almost 80% of the world lives below this emotion of willingness. That only 20% of
That's,
people are
that's
really
right.
willing to do whatever it takes. And
Yeah.
his method to get to that point of being willing to do whatever it takes is to
Hmm.
address our challenging emotions head on, to
Yes.
find the errors in our perception that are creating them, and then to work on clearing out that emotional baggage. And that without that emotional baggage, we are willing to do whatever it takes.
Yes.
However, he says, don't stop there, because if we stay in willingness, we will willingly run ourselves through walls and kill ourselves to accomplish more and more and more and more. And it's never enough. We have 4 kids too. I have multiple companies. I'm doing podcasts, right? Writing the book.
Exactly.
Willingness will willingly drive itself into the ground where we don't have time to connect with friends, right?
Yeah.
Because we're literally willing to do whatever it takes. So the emotion after willingness on Hawkins' map is an emotion called acceptance.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
only when we run ourselves ragged that we
Hmm.
finally say there has to be another way. And the other way is this emotion of acceptance, which is I'm still going to do whatever it takes. However, I'm going to accept whatever the results are.
Yes.
I'm no longer attached to the results. I'll give my best effort, and
Hmm.
however it'll be, it'll be. And then acceptance also says it accepts its limitations, and it accepts that, well, maybe I don't have to do that job anymore. Maybe I could have
Hmm.
less money. Maybe I could have less fame, less acclaim. I don't really need that. So I'm going
Yep.
to simplify. I'm going to accept that there are limitations to how much energy I have and how much energy I want to expend. And acceptance is like much more of a lovely way of living. But beyond acceptance, and we get to the best emotion, and that's the emotion of love. And it goes back to your core of connection.
Yes.
And according to, again, this is Hawkins language, only
Yep.
5% of people ever elevate to this emotion of love where they truly accept everyone. The people that are doing so-called good work, the people who are doing so-called bad work,
Yeah.
everyone is accepted and allowed to be exactly as they are, and in fact, loved
Yes.
exactly as they are. How can people reach out to you and find more?
My book is called Ace Your Life, Unleash Your Best Self and Live the Life You Want. It's
Yes.
also, I just recorded it and narrated it on audiobook. So I'm really excited about that
Congratulations.
too. Um, I'm a big audiobook person. So I'm all for audiobooks.
Did you read it
Um,
yourself?
I did. I narrated it myself.
Oh,
Yes.
fantastic.
Challenging too, by the way. Yes. Um, and definitely my website. It's www.michelle with 2 L's Maidenberg, Maidenberg.com. I have weekly guided meditations on YouTube that
Mm.
gets published every Thursday. I also am a Psychology Today blogger. So I have articles that come out all the time, at least monthly, on Psychology Today. And then actually, they just asked me, which is very exciting, to do some TikToks for them.
Well,
So,
what?
yeah, yeah, which they recruited me to do TikToks, which was very exciting. So I'm going to
That's
be doing that
awesome.
too. Yeah.
Well, Michelle,
But
it's just been a
I'm more
pleasure.
than happy to be on again if you found it helpful
Oh, it's
and to
awesome.
answer any questions. You were like a pleasure to talk to, and I love that you're living your best life. And I think I found my match, by the way,
Well, how's
because
that?
in terms of discipline and all of that.
Discipline.
No, I'm not even kidding. It's rare to find somebody like that. So like I feel like we are bonded.
Yeah, we're soul
Simpatico.
connected. Totally. Michelle,
Exactly.
thank you. Thank you so much. And y'all, thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode with Matt O'Neill.